Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog.stampwithelaine.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make this card using the Stamparatus. This is the new stamp positioning tool made by Stamping Up. Those of you who are lucky enough to reserve it in the first window should have received an email by now from Stamping Up on how to close your order so that they can ship the tool to you. The Stamparatus is £44 here in the UK, so if you add a little something during celebration to take it up to £45 or just over, then you'll be able to choose a celebration item absolutely free at the same time. If you ordered it in the second window, you will be receiving notification instructions on how to close your order sometime later in March or April, in the order in which you placed your reservation. So I'll be showing you more ways on how to use this fantastic tool. In the ensuing weeks I will be demonstrating more and more with the Stamparatus, just to show you how quick and easy this can be and what an amazing tool it is. I cut a piece of grid paper and I actually laminated it, so then I'm not fussed then if I get marks or anything onto my laminated sheet. I can just wipe it off with a absorbent cloth or a baby wipe or something to clean it afterwards. To start with, I cut my card base from the actual springtime foils, which is a free celebration item. These are 12 by 12 sheets, and I just cut a 4 by 6 inch sheet and trimmed off at 11 3/4, and then scored it in half and folded it in half to make that my card base. So I've cut another piece of springtime foil. This one is in the rose gold foil, and I've cut it at 11 3/4 inches by 4 inches, so then I can get 3 out of a 12 by 12 sheet. In metric, that will be 10.2 centimeters by 29.8. You score at 5 3/4, which is 14.6, and fold it in half. 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock cut at 3 5/8 by 5 1/2 inches, so that's 9.2 centimeters by 14 centimeters. Basic grey archival ink and pink pirouette, 2016 to 2018 in colour glitter acrylic shapes. Stamp set I'm using is called a Mother's Flair, and I'm also using Celebration's Eclectic Expressions to create a background. Bring in the Stamparatus. This is the base unit. It's got an acrylic overlay on the top with a grid paper in centimeters on the bottom. It's also got imperial measurements, and because I'm better at working imperial, I made my own grid paper. I just cut a piece of grid paper 7 inches by 7 inches square, and then I laminated it and just marked 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches on the grid paper, so it's away from the edges, and it means that I've got a reference on where to put my paper each time. There's a thin metallic sheet underneath this section here, so that's why the magnets will stick to it. On the underside, you've got a place to store your magnets. You've got 4 non-slip feet, so it will grip onto whatever surface you're working on. And then there are hinges here in which to put your acrylic plates. You get 2, and this is also etched with centimeter markings in Europe. When you put your Stamparatus plate in, remember to put it in vertically at 90 degrees and then just slot it in. Always remember that you can only use one plate into the center at a time. If you have both in, it will break You have 4 working surfaces, so one this side, one in the smooth side, one on the edge side, and the same with this plate. A word of caution, these are earth magnets. They're very, very strong, and if you use both together, they attract each other and they could actually race toward each other and break. So I err on the side of caution, and I only use one at a time. And I've also wrapped mine in masking tape or painter's tape, because I find that it gives me something to grip on, and it's easier to slide it off the Stamparatus than to try and pick it up. It's much more difficult to pick it up, so if you just slide it off the plate, it will make your life a lot easier. Another piece of equipment I find invaluable is actually the imaging sheet of your Stamp-A-Majig. Let's put my grid paper back, and you see that is buttered up against the edge and in line with the marks I've got on my laminated grid paper. So I'm going to put that there, and that helps me to position my stamps where I want it. So I know this is my cardstock here with the marks there, and essentially that's where I need to get my stamps in. You notice that there are 2 open sides here. That means you can use you can even stamp on larger pieces of paper. And of course it's not restricted to just a person who's right-handed. It can also be used by a person who's left-handed. Now you can see my test piece that I already set up previously. So I shall pop that on. And alright, let's take them all off and I'll do it again. So I'll match it up to the paper here, I think. Just to show you, take that off as well. Pick up the stamp. Rather than ruin a piece of cardstock, I'm just going to do it on the imaging sheet, just to check that that's perfect, so that's straight. So I'm happy with that. I'm using an absorber cloth to clean the stamps. Actually, I'll put the stamp on there so that I've got something to rest the acrylic plate on while I clean it. Now I'm going to switch the plates to the other side, because I want to position my hat. So I want the hat fairly close. Pick that up, and I want to do a test. Ink that up. It's a little bit close so to the flower, so let's move it up a little bit. That's better. Now I want the background piece, these background bits. So I'm placing it it up. Test it to see if it's right. Yes, I'm happy with that. Then flip the plate over. We'll clean off the ink first. Switch the plate around. Sentiment there. ink it up. Okay, so that's my test piece done. I can start stamping now. So I do the other bit first. So I'll stamp the shoe and the bag first. Put my magnet there. Ink it up with basic grey archival ink. And I can overstamp it again in exactly the same position. Until it's the right intensity of colour. Clean the stamp with the absorber cloth. Lift it up perpendicularly. Ink up the hat. In basic grey also. Remove that plate, transfer it to the spatter patterns, and this time I'm going to stamp with pink pirouette. I'm going to have to hold it in the palm of my hand because if I put it on the surface there's a bit of a glare from the lamps. I've cleaned the stamps, now I've reinserted, and this time I'm stamping back in archival grey. I'll need a bit of post-it note to cover up this section because I don't want that in archival grey. Remove it. Stamp the letters. Ink it up in the pink pirouette. So there's your card front all finished. Now you can either leave the stamps on like this so you can stamp more, or you can take them off. Now once you've taken the stamps off, it's a good idea to put them on your clear block and clean and condition them on your Stamp and Scrub, ready for the next time. To save time, I've already stamped on the inside for the card. You can decorate your card as you wish. Just a bit of Tomrow glue on the inside. Pop some glue on my embellishment and pop that onto here and allow it to dry. All done. Which do you prefer? The one with the stripes or the one rose gold copper foil? Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this tutorial. Subscribe or share on Facebook if you haven't already. And if you're watching from YouTube, you'll find the list of supplies I use below this video in the Show More section with direct links to my online store. They'll also be listed on my blog at blog.stampwithelaine.com. You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. Thanks for watching. Bye.